Determined to do anything to convince Rachel to give her the job, Lisa began to cry. "Madam, please. My mother, she's very sick," she explained, her voice trembling with genuine sorrow. "I need this job desperately. I don't know how else to take care of her." Rachel's expression softened. "I understand," she said, holding Lisa's hand. "You've got the job, Miss Lisa, provided you give it your best performance." For the first time in a long time, Lisa felt a flicker of relief, blissfully unaware of how intertwined her life had once been with Rachel's. Over the next few months, Cynthia's health took a heavy toll. Lisa did everything she could, using all her earnings from her job to fund Cynthia's treatments. The shadow of her mother's worsening condition weighed heavily on her each day at work, though Rachel's kindness and warmth brought a small sense of comfort. One afternoon, as Rachel was supervising at the salon, she struck up a casual conversation with Lisa. "How's your mom doing, Lisa?" she asked, her tone light but genuinely concerned. "She's hanging in there," Lisa replied, forcing a smile. "That's good to know," Rachel responded. Then she glanced thoughtfully at Lisa for a moment. "You know, you look so much like an old friend of mine. We trained together as apprentices at a hair salon." Her name was Cynthia, but everyone called her Ceecee the Baddie because she was a bit of a rebel. "Oh, how I miss her," Rachel said, laughing softly. Lisa froze. She remembered that nickname vividly. It had been used by some of her mother's male friends who visited the house in those darker days. Curious, Lisa responded, "Actually, my mom went by that name too, Ceecee the Baddie." Rachel's smile faltered, and she blinked, looking at Lisa with newfound scrutiny. "What a coincidence," she said, smiling awkwardly and walking away with a thoughtful look on her face. But the rest of the day, her mind kept circling back to the possibility: could there be a connection between Lisa's mother and Cynthia, her long-lost friend? The following day, curiosity got the better of Rachel. She discreetly checked Lisa's file. Noting her date of birth, she was startled to see that Lisa's birthday was just days after her own daughter, Tina's, just as Cynthia's child had been born days after her own. Rachel's heart raced as she imagined the possibility of seeing Cynthia again. That afternoon, she approached Lisa with her voice trembling. "Lisa, would you have a picture of your mother?" Lisa, a little puzzled, reached into her bag and pulled out her phone, displaying a picture of her mother. Rachel's hand flew to her mouth, her eyes wide with shock. She let out a gasp as memories rushed back. "It's her," Rachel whispered, feeling tears brim in her eyes. "Lisa, your mother? She's my long-lost friend, Cynthia. She's the Ceecee I know." Without wasting a moment, Rachel insisted they would go see Cynthia as soon as Tina was back from work. That evening, the three women made their way to Lisa's small home. When they arrived, Cynthia, weak and frail, looked up and locked eyes with Rachel. Recognition dawned and her face crumpled as tears filled her eyes. "Rachel," Cynthia murmured with uncertainty in her voice. The two women embraced, years of pain and regret spilling into their tears. Rachel pulled back, her own cheeks wet. "Cynthia, I can't believe it's you. I begged you all those years to stay with me, to work together." Cynthia shook her head, her eyes hollow with regret. "I know, Rachel. I was stubborn and I thought I knew better. Look where it's gotten me." Her voice wavered as she spoke, her hands trembling. "I've lost so much. My health, my life. But seeing you here feels like a second chance." Rachel sat beside her, holding her tightly. "You're not alone, Cynthia. Whatever happened, I am here now." Tina and Lisa watched with surprise as the two friends reunited. Later, as Cynthia and Rachel had a moment to themselves, still reminiscing, Lisa wandered closer, catching fragments of their conversation. Her heart sank as she overheard Cynthia explaining to Rachel how she had contracted hepatitis B from all those years of sleeping around. A painful realization hit Lisa. She knew her mother had pushed her into the same life. A life that could have cost her her health too. Her heart throbbed with a mixture of anger and sorrow as she thought back on the years spent following her mother's guidance. However, she forgave her mom in her heart, grateful that she did not contract any disease during her life of promiscuity. As Cynthia continued to update Rachel on the events of her life, her voice trembled with emotion. "You don't understand, Rachel. Life has been brutal. I had to resort to things I never really wanted." She paused, allowing the tears that had welled up in her eyes to flow freely. "Jojo, it will never be well with you for making me live this kind of life," she blurted out. Rachel furrowed her brow in confusion. "Who is Jojo and what did he do?" With eyes brimming with tears, Cynthia replied, "Remember Auntie Buju's cousin who came visiting while we were still training at the salon? That manipulative scoundrel was the one who got me pregnant and denied me completely after I showed him the result of our countless secret meetings." At that moment, Rachel's shock turned to horror. "Jojo? You mean the same Jojo who promised me the world just so he could take away my innocence and leave me to bear alone the consequences of my gullibility and stupidity?" Cynthia's eyes widened with disbelief. The both women slowly realized that not only had they been played by one man, but that they had something still binding them to this same man. Their daughters. With hearts mixed with sorrow and joy, they called Lisa and Tina into the room and revealed to them what they had just discovered, telling them in details about their own lives before and after their pregnancies and who their father was. Lisa and Tina stared at each other, shock written across their faces. The weight of the reality that they were half-sisters hung heavily in the air, yet a strange understanding began to blossom between the two young women. They embraced each other, despite the swirling chaos of their newfound reality, while Cynthia and Rachel exchanged looks of both regret and relief. As life continued to unfold, weeks passed, and on one of Rachel's visits to Cynthia's home, the two women decided to find Auntie Buju and appreciate her for helping Rachel secure a spot in the facility for homeless pregnant girls. A kind act from her that greatly helped them when they were both abandoned by the people they called family. However, Cynthia was too ill to join them for the visit. Rachel, Tina, and Lisa traveled down to Auntie Buju's city. As they arrived the location where Rachel recalled Auntie Buju's salon to be located, Rachel was relieved to see that Auntie Buju had not relocated from the area. In fact, the salon was now a very big complex with different extensions within the same vicinity. Rachel immediately spotted Auntie Buju at the entrance of the complex chatting amiably with a young man. She pointed Tina and Lisa in that direction and informed them that the lady was Auntie Buju. However, on seeing the face of the young man with Auntie Buju, Lisa's heart skipped a beat. She felt a surge of emotions. It was him. She could never miss his face anywhere, the man who had once given her an opportunity at the kind of life she dreamed of having. She immediately alighted from Rachel's car and walked quickly in the direction of the young man who had now finished chatting with Auntie Buju and was heading to his car. "Jeff," she said cautiously as he turned toward her. Jeff looked taken aback but quickly regained his composure. "Oh, Lisa, what are you doing here?" His tone was curt, clearly avoiding the deeper conversation they once shared. "I just came with my aunt and my sister to see Auntie Buju," Lisa replied, her voice wavering slightly. "I never knew you had other family members besides your mother." "Well, good to see you," Jeff said, waving her off, giving her the hint that he did not need any explanations from her. Without another word, he climbed into his car and drove away, leaving Lisa feeling a mix of disappointment and regret. Inside the salon, Auntie Buju's face lit up upon seeing Rachel. "Rachel, it's so good to see you." After a while of exchanging pleasantries, Rachel, still beaming, said, "Thank you for everything you did for me, Ma. I wouldn't be here without your support." Auntie Buju's eyes glimmered. "It's fine, Rachel. You're like a daughter to me. But who are those lovely girls you came in here with?" Rachel turned to Lisa and Tina, signaling them to come over. "It's a long story, Auntie Buju, but this is Tina and Lisa, Jojo's daughters, both from me and Cynthia, one of your apprentices back then." Auntie Buju's demeanor shifted instantly, her smile vanishing. "Which Jojo?" "My cousin. You're accusing him again," Rachel, you can't keep dragging Jordan's name through the mud and expect me to act calmly about it." Then she turned sharply to Lisa. "Are you here to also accuse his younger brother, Jeff, of something? Because I saw you talking to him moments before he drove off." Wait. Lisa interjected, confusion flooding her. "Do you mean that Jeff is your cousin and his elder brother, Jordan, is the same person as the Jojo whom I was told is my father?" "Yes. Jeff is my cousin and Jordan is his elder brother whom you all have been heaping lies upon. Look, I don't want to hear anything more from any of you. Leave my complex now before I call the security man." And Ibuju, clearly enraged, snapped, ordering them to leave. Without a moment's hesitation, Lisa stormed out of Ibuju's salon first, closely followed by Tina and Rachel. On their way back, Lisa's mind raced, her heart pounding with a mixture of anger and despair as the pieces fell into place. Rachel, on the other hand, was not very surprised by Ibuju's reaction. She had actually expected something like that, judging by her reaction years ago, but what puzzled her more was Lisa's question and how silent she had been since their journey back to their city. However, she chose not to bug her with questions until they arrived home. As soon as they got to Lisa's home, Lisa, without a word, stormed through the front door and headed straight for her mother. "Why, Mom? Why?" Her voice trembling with anguish. "Why did you let me get caught up in this mess so badly?" Not minding the confused stares from Rachel, Tina, and her mother, Lisa continued. "You pushed me into sleeping with man, and thanks to our visit to Auntie Buju, I just found out that Jordan, Jeff's brother whom I slept with while I was dating Jeff, is the same person as Jojo, my father. Mom, I have unknowingly slept with both my uncle and my father because of your selfish desires. It kills me even more to include their father, who is my grandfather, on that list." Cynthia's face drained of color as she processed Lisa's words. What are you saying?" she stammered, horrified. "No, it can't be. Look at where your choices have landed me," Lisa shouted, tears streaming down her face. "I trusted you, and you ruined my entire life." Tina and Rachel, standing at a corner of the room, exchanged shocked glances. This revelation was beyond their wildest imaginations. They had never seen Lisa so consumed by pain. The air was thick with unspoken words and dread as the truth hung heavily above them. Lisa turned on her heel and bolted out of the house, slamming the door behind her. "I can't do this anymore," she cried. She vanished into the night, leaving her mother, Rachel, and Tina in stunned silence. For the first time, Cynthia deeply regretted the choices she had made, from her early days of flirting with schoolboys down to the last men she could remember sleeping with. Days turned into weeks, but Lisa refused to return home. She became a ghost in her own life. The shame and guilt weighed her down, driving her back into the dark world of clubbing and meaningless encounters, desperately seeking solace that never came. Cynthia, worried sick, paced their home, her heart heavy with fear for her daughter. "Where is she? I can't just sit here," Cynthia said one evening, her voice trembling with worry and fear. Rachel and Tina were with her, their faces etched with concern. "Don't worry, my friend, we will find her," Rachel assured. 3 months later, Lisa returned, looking malnourished and disheveled. She walked past a very sick and frail-looking Cynthia and headed straight for her room, slamming the door shut behind her. "Lisa, please open up," Cynthia wobbled after her, crying and knocking frantically. "I'm deeply sorry for everything." But the only response was Lisa's muffled sobs. Hours passed and Cynthia's heart sank. "Lisa, please. I'm so sorry. Just hear me out," she begged, her voice already tired from crying. After a long, agonizing wait, Cynthia could no longer hear Lisa's sobs. Panic surged through her, and she immediately called Rachel over. When Rachel arrived alongside Tina, who had just returned from work, they immediately sensed the urgency. "What happened?" Tina asked, worry creasing her brow. "She came back this afternoon and has locked herself up in her room. I could hear her sobs, but now I can't hear her anymore," Cynthia said, her voice trembling with fear. "I'm scared something is wrong." They knocked frantically, but Lisa remained silent, with desperation driving them. Rachel and Tina managed to break the lock, rushing into the room. What they found was a nightmare made real. Lisa lay motionless on the floor, a haunting stillness and empty drug containers surrounding her. Cynthia's heart shattered. She collapsed in grief, the weight of her choices crashing down on her. Rachel and Tina, still in shock, rushed both mother and daughter to the hospital. Unfortunately, upon their arrival at the hospital, Lisa was confirmed dead, while Cynthia was placed on life support to resuscitate her. Days later, Rachel stood beside Cynthia in the hospital ward, where doctors revealed what they had all feared the most. "Cynthia, you have stage 3 liver cancer," the doctor said. "We need to start treatments immediately." But it was too late. Cynthia, broken and grief-stricken, passed away the next morning. At the gravesites of Lisa and Cynthia, Rachel and Tina wept bitterly, distressed and shattered by the very short time they had to spend with the only family they had. The sun set slowly, casting long shadows over the earth as they clutched each other for support. Dearest viewer, how greatly the decisions we make have the power to shape our lives and the lives of those around us in unthinkable ways. The choices of one generation can haunt the next. It could be a life-threatening disease like hepatitis B or the stigma Lisa had to face in her final moments of life. This is not even about single mothers, because Rachel's life shows that being a single mother is not a license to make very poor choices in life. Your choices can change a lot of things for both you and your children. Also, in the case of Lisa's final days, digging deeper into an injury cannot heal that injury. Returning to her past lifestyle did not and would never have brought her the healing she desired. Only Jesus Christ can give such peace. If you have been struggling with the implications of your choices or the choices of others that have implicated you, please turn to Jesus Christ today and He will bring you everlasting healing. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed this story, please like, subscribe, and share this video with everyone whom you think will be inspired by this story. Don't forget to tell me in the comments section what other lessons you think we can learn from the story. See you in my next story.